Hello everyone, how are you? I hope that you are all doing well and staying safe at home. In this video, I'm not going to introduce a new objective or a new lecture. We're going to revise some chosen objectives: grammar, phonics, comprehension, and writing. These objectives are covered, they were covered before during semester 1. Now we're revising them in order to do a summative test and take the grades for semester 1. Are you ready? Don't worry, there's nothing new, everything is just a revision. First objective, I'm going to start with the grammar objective, which is subjects and predicates. I think that you all remember what are subjects and the predicates. Okay, let's go over and recall everything we have covered in this lesson. First of all, simple and complete subjects. What is a subject? The subject is what or whom the sentence is about. So whenever I want to know the subject, I have to ask myself what the sentence is talking about or who is the sentence talking about. Sometimes we call the subject the naming part. As we said before, that the subject names, gives us a name. So we call it naming part. Let's have this example. The kids spilled popcorn on the floor. Ask yourself, who is the sentence talking about, or what is the sentence talking about? The sentence is talking about the kids. So the kids is the subject of this sentence. Okay, the complete subject. If you notice that we said the kids, we had more than one word in the subject. So all the words that are found in the subject, they make the complete subject. All the words that are found in the subject part make the complete subject. But what about the simple subject? The main word in this subject is the noun kids, the main word, the simple word. Or in other words, I ask myself who I'm mainly talking about. I'm mainly talking about the kids only. Okay, so kids, the noun is the main word in the complete subject. We call it simple subject. What do we call it? Simple subject. So when we want to know what is the subject in the sentence, we ask ourselves who is the sentence talking about or what is the sentence talking about. We get the answer for the complete subject, all of the words in the subject. But when I want to know the simple subject, first of all I have to know one thing, that the simple subject is a part of the complete subject. Okay, and it is only one word, one noun or a pronoun. The simple subject is the main noun or pronoun in the complete subject. Compound subjects. Now we move to the compound subjects. Whenever I say anything, not only subjects, anything that is compound, I know that there is more than one part, maybe more than one particle, let's say for example, combined together. So they make compound substance or compound subject. Okay, here our lesson is about compound subjects. So this shows me that I'm going to have more than one main subject. A compound subject is a simple subject made up of more than one noun or pronoun, or in other words, it's the subject that contains more than one simple subject, okay, more than one noun or pronoun. So when I say compound subject, I mean the subject that has more than one noun or pronoun. The principal and the teacher visited us. Who is the sentence talking about? The principal and the teacher. The principal and the teacher. So the sentence talks about two nouns in the subject. Principal, teacher. Okay? So here if you notice that they are joined together with a conjunction, so they make a compound subject. So the simple subjects are usually joined by the coordinating conjunctions and or the correlative conjunctions either or neither nor. So in order to make a compound subject, we must have more than one main subject, more than one simple subject, more than one noun or pronoun joined together with conjunctions, maybe coordinating conjunction and or correlative conjunction either or neither nor. Okay, now we move to the predicate. What is the predicate? The simple and complete predicate. First of all, The predicate explains what the subject is or has done. So the predicate is the second part in the sentence that tells me what the subject is. Maybe it's giving me only information about the subject, or it tells me an action that the subject did. Sometimes we call the predicate the telling part. Since I said it tells us, then it is a telling part. Example, they arrived late to the party. First of all, here, where is the subject? They. They is the subject. Okay, what is the sentence telling me about the subject? Arrived late to the party. So where is the predicate? Arrived late to the party. And if you notice, it's not only one word, it starts from the verb to the end of the sentence. So we call it complete predicate. Okay, directly. The predicate starts directly after the subject, and in other words, it starts from the verb till the end of the sentence. So it gives me the complete predicate. The complete predicate is arrived late to the party. But what is the simple predicate now? The simple predicate is the verb. Okay, the simple predicate is the verb. The verb in this sentence is arrived. It's the first word in the complete predicate. So the verb in this sentence is arrived. It's the first word in the complete predicate, you see. So the complete predicate starts from the verb. So the verb is called the simple predicate. The simple predicate is the main verb in the complete predicate. Now compound predicates. Compound predicates. As we said, we have compound subjects, and we said that the subject has more than one simple or main subject. Then compound predicates means that the predicate has more than one simple predicate. And can you guess how are they joined? Yes, they are joined with conjunctions. The compound predicate is two or more simple predicates with same subject. Two or more simple predicates with same subject. Okay? Christina baked the cake and decorated the house. Baked the cake and decorated the house. Okay? So what did Christina do? Baked and decorated. The sentence includes two verbs or two actions in the predicate. So the simple predicates are usually joined by the coordinating conjunctions and or the correlative conjunctions either or neither nor to make a compound predicate. So when we say compound predicate, we mean that we have more than one verb, more than one simple predicate joined together with conjunctions. Okay, now we move to the second chosen objective in the grammar, which is the simple past tense. I hope that you are still remembering the simple past tense. First of all, the meaning of simple past tense and the use, what it means and how we use it. When do we use the simple past tense? We use the simple past tense to express the idea that an action started and finished at a specific time in the past. So when there is an action that happened in the past and finished at a specific time, we have to use the simple past tense. What are some common time expressions used with the past tense? Do you still remember some of the time words that show the simple past tense? For example, last week, 2 days ago, in 1980, in 2009, last month, 2 days ago, 3 weeks ago, last week, last year, last month. Now, how do we form the simple past tense? How do we form the verbs in the simple past tense? What must we do? We have two groups. First, we have regular verbs and we have irregular verbs. Regular verbs, we form the past tense for the regular verbs by adding ed to the end of the verb. Irregular verbs, some irregular verbs change completely while others don't change at all when forming the simple past tense. So, the rule says when we have to form the verbs in the simple past tense, they must take ed. This is what the rule says. But so we call the verbs that follow this rule, we call them regular. But some other verbs like to be bad boys. They don't like to follow rules. So either they change completely or they do not change at all, or they just change one letter. So we call them irregular because they don't follow the rule. And as I said before, that these verbs you must memorize them, and they are among the list of the irregular verbs that I gave to you before. Okay? Let's have these examples and see which verbs are regular and which are irregular. Taught, taught is irregular. Played, played has ed at the end, is regular. Carried, carried is regular. Gave, irregular. Became, irregular. Kicked, regular. Printed, regular. And did, irregular. Now let's see what are the rules to add ed to the regular verbs, because we might have to do slight changes when adding ed to the verbs, okay? First rule says we just add ed or d if the root form already ends in an e or a consonant. So if it ends in e, we just add d. If it doesn't end with e, we add ed. Second rule, if one syllable verb ends with a consonant, vowel, consonant, then we have to double the last letter and add ed. As in stop, stopped, plan, planned, rub, rubbed. 3. If a two-syllable verb, I have a verb made of two syllables, ends with a consonant, vowel, consonant, and the last syllable is not stressed, just add ed. If the verb is made of two syllables, I mean two parts, okay, and the last part is consonant, vowel, consonant, but it's not stressed, we are not stressing on it, so we just add ed. We do not double anything here, like travel, traveled, listen, listened, cancel, cancelled. Number 4, if two syllable verb ends with consonant, vowel, consonant, okay, and the last syllable is stressed, then double the last letter and add ed. So if the verb is made of two parts again, but at the end I have consonant, vowel, consonant, but here the last syllable is stressed. I'm stressing on it, so I have to double the consonant. Like prefer, preferred, refer, referred. Number 5, if a verb ends with a consonant and a y, cross out the y and add ied, like notify, notified, supply, supplied. And the last rule, number 6, if a verb ends with a vowel and a y, keep the y and add ed only, like play, played, betray, betrayed. Now, how to form the negative sentences using the simple past tense. Again, I repeat, when I say negative, I mean not. It's not happening. First of all, I have to use did not, or the contraction didn't. Then I have to write the verb in its base form. Okay? Example. I went to work yesterday. This is the affirmative, the positive. What is the verb? The verb went. So what must I use here to change it into the negative? I have to use did not or didn't. So after the subject I write I didn't. What is the base form of the verb went? Go. I didn't go to work yesterday, and this is the negative. But I have an exception for verb to be. What must I do with the verb to be? The verb to be is was and were in the past. What if the sentence has was and were in the past? Do I use did not? No. If you remember, the rule says that we just add not after the was or were. Was or were plus not. Example, I was not at the show. Now for yes no questions, what should we use? Now I want to form a question, but the first question is yes no, which means that the answer could be yes or no. What must I do? How do I form the question? Simply, I start with did, then the subject, then the verb in its base form and the complement of the sentence. Examples. Did you go to work yesterday? Did you come yesterday? What if I have the verb to be? I should not use did. I start with the verb to be, then the subject, then the rest of the sentence. Example. Were you at work yesterday? Was she at the library yesterday? Now for WH words questions. What if I have WH word at the beginning of the question, like what, where, when, why, who? Okay, what must I do? Simply, it's easy. I start with the WH word, then I add did. Okay, I cannot form a negative sentence or a question without did. Then the subject, then the verb in its base form, and if I have a rest of the sentence, I add it. Examples: where did you go yesterday? When did you come yesterday? Okay, now we move to the phonics. In the phonics, we're going to cover just short vowels and long vowels. It's very easy and clear for you. I don't think that you're going to face problems in it. Short vowel sounds. Again, we repeat. If a word contains only one vowel, and that vowel appears in the middle of the word, the vowel is usually pronounced as a short vowel. This is especially true if the word is very short. Examples of short vowels in one-syllable words include the following: bat, wet, fox, sit, and slept, fled. When a word ends with a double consonant S, L, or F, the preceding vowel takes the short sound. Example: Bill, Miss, Sal. Let's remember the other rules. If there are two vowels in a word, but the first vowel is followed by a double consonant, the vowel's sound is short, such as cannon or wobble. If there are two vowels in a word and the vowels are separated by two or more letters, the first vowel is usually short. For example, lantern, bucket. Okay, now it's turn to move to the long vowel sounds. Long vowel sounds. A long vowel is a vowel sound that is pronounced the same way as the name of the letter itself. For example, the long U sound is pronounced like U, as would be the case in words like lure and tube. Oftentimes, a word with a short vowel is transformed into a long vowel by placing a silent letter E at the end of the word. You all know this rule. Example: mat, made. Vowel themes are when two vowels stick together to make one long vowel sound. The long vowel sound usually relates to the first vowel in the sequence. Usually, not all the times. Okay, you have to pay attention to this. Usually, not all the words that have vowel themes. Okay. Example: wait, meet. The only double vowels used in words are EE and OO. Of these, only EE is spoken as a long vowel in words like sheep, wheel, beat, and bee. Okay? By contrast, OO is pronounced in many different ways, such as hoop, look, brood, and woo. When we find AY, EY, or OY at the end of the word, the vowel theme gives a long sound. Example: play, key, destroy. When the letter Y is located in the middle or end of the word, it is often treated as a vowel with long E. Since here it plays the role of a vowel, so it takes a long sound, as in early, ugly, daisy, dizzy. Vowels can sometimes be long if followed by double consonants or blends. Example: bang, stroll. Okay guys, now it's time to start with the story elements. Let's revise the story elements. First element in the story is the setting. What is the setting? Setting is the where and when of a story. It's the time and the place during which the story takes place. Characters. The characters are the person, animals, and things participating in a story. Conflict. Conflict is the struggle or the problem between two forces in a story, and without a conflict, we would not have a strong plot. Okay? Sometimes we do not find a conflict in a story. Plot. Plot is the organized pattern or sequence of events that make up a story. The plot is the elements that describe the structure of a story. It shows an arrangement of events and actions within a story. The last story element is the theme. The theme is the central or general message or the main idea about life or people the author wants to get across through a story. Or in other words, is the lesson that we learn from the story. To discover the theme of a story, think big. What big message is the author trying to say about the world in which we live? And the genre, the most used genre till now is the realistic fiction. How can we tell that a story or a text in front of us is a realistic fiction story? If it's a made up story and it tells about characters, setting, and events that are like people, places, and events in real life, or in other words, it's a made up story, it is not real, but its characters, setting, and events could happen in real life, includes dialogue and descriptive details, and often includes illustrations. And the last objective to revise in this lecture is the narrative writing. What is narrative writing? A narrative is a story that is interesting for the reader. This type of writing makes the reader feel as if he or she were part of the story, as if it was being told directly to him or her. Elements of narrative writing: the people, animals, or inanimate objects who are affected by the actions of the plot or who are the cause of certain events. Characters, real or imaginative, should be brought to life through the narrative. So we must make the reader imagine the characters in front of him or her. Setting: where and when the narrative takes place, allows the readers to visualize the scenes and the characters in those scenes. If you notice that the elements of narrative writing are similar or the same as the elements of the story, since we said narrative is a story, then it must have the same elements. Although the setting may be clear for the author, he or she must create a picture for the readers. So the setting should be clear to the reader. The plot: the who, what, where, when, why, and how outline that gives the narrative direction. Or in other words, the events. The plot is the events. What is the story about? Now let's move to the structure of the narrative writing. The structure. The beginning. What must we have in the beginning? It should be intensing, opening to capture readers' interest. Setting revealed. We must reveal the setting at the beginning of the story. And main characters introduced. Main characters should be introduced at the beginning of the story. And if there is a conflict or a problem, it must be presented at the beginning of the story. Middle. In the middle, characters attempt to resolve conflicts or problems. In the middle, either we give the series of events that happened with the characters, or we have to tell how the characters tried to solve a conflict in case there was a conflict in the story. Action progress sequentially, step by step, or in chronological order. Climax. The turning point of the narrative. In case there is a problem, the climax is the point where the characters start finding the solution to the problem. It reveals the process involved for solving the conflicts. The end tells how the resolution of the conflicts have affected the characters. No new characters or plot ideas are introduced. Nothing new is introduced at the end of the story. Theme or message understood by the reader must be mentioned at the end of the story. Okay guys, we have reached the end of our revision lecture. I hope everything now is clearer for you and you get ready for the big test. Okay? Stay safe and bye bye.